A 3-year period of house arrest and community service, a suggestion seconded by probation officer, that's Annette Vergeer. Pistorius was found guilty of culpable homicide last month after shooting his girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp on Valentine's Day in 2013. Well, Kimmona Kannigan is with Lanham-Love Attorneys and she joins us now in studio. Good afternoon, Kimmona, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Prosecutor Gerrinel saying that public respect for the South African justice system would indeed be undermined should Pistorius receive a sentence that's not very harsh. Does he have a point, Kimmona?
Absolutely. The facts as it stand, we know that Oscar discharged 4 bullets through a closed bathroom door. We know that a woman is dead as a result of his conduct. We've seen the brutality in respect of the photographic evidence tendered by the state. So I think a lighter sentence like house arrest or a suspended sentence would undermine and fly in the face of South Africa's alleged policy of zero tolerance against violence of women and children. Yes. So absolutely, it would undermine the South African justice system.
Now this morning, really getting his teeth into the social worker and probation officer, Annette Vergeer, also highlighting the inaccuracy in her report and also the fact that she used a report that was outdated by about 9 years. To what extent does this now harm her credibility and reliability?
It's difficult to attribute any level of credibility or reliability when an expert witness leads evidence that is outdated. How do you rely on a report that's 9 years old? You know, it makes her immediately, detracts from her credibility immediately. And I think that's something the judge will have to take into consideration. You cannot tender evidence that's outdated. And yes, it does attack her reliability to some extent.
Judge Masipa, she has been a calm presiding presence over this entire trial. What are some of the key factors she will look at when it comes to sentencing?
Kirshni, as with all criminal trials, they're going to consider things like the severity of the crime, as in the seriousness of the offence. We know that a woman is dead. We know that it was brutally so, regardless of what had transpired. We know that Oscar makes it a habit of getting into trouble. I mean, he's habitually gotten into trouble over the last, I would say, 6 to 12 months. He very recently became embroiled in a nightclub scandal not so long ago. So, of course, they need to consider if he is actually not put away and not imprisoned to a term or sentenced to a term of imprisonment, does he in fact pose a threat to society? The fact that he's a first-time offender will obviously lend itself favourably to him, but these are some of the aspects the judge will take into consideration.
It is starting to feel like, Kimmona, that it's actually correctional services and their capacity to keep Pistorius safe that's on trial here. Will we see some guarantees from the side of correctional services made to secure him behind bars, as we did in the Sri and Diwani case?
It's difficult to assess. These cases are decided on the merits of each case. We know that he's disabled, and of course it's something that's been largely sort of featured in the media. I'd like to believe that our justice system is without preference in that everybody's treated equally. There is no distinction between perpetrators. I think it's also important to bear in mind that his trial is currently underway. If Oscar isn't sentenced to a term of imprisonment, his trial would have been concluded. And as such, there's a distinction to be made between the two of them.
Is it likely that the judge will use the sentencing as a deterrent?
As a deterrent in respect of sort of nabbing...
Of dissuading others who might commit crimes against women and children, especially when it comes to sporting icons and celebrities?
I would hope so. I think I speak for most South Africans when I say it would definitely send out a strong message. I think it's long overdue. I myself would have preferred a murder conviction and for him to be sentenced accordingly. I was slightly amiss in my initial assessment, and seeing that he's now been convicted of culp, I would prefer, as I'm sure most South Africans would, the maximum sentence of 15 years. It sends out a strong, clear message of zero tolerance for violence against women and children.
Thank you. Kimmona Kannigan is an attorney with Lanham-Love Attorneys. Thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.